Hey everybody, great morning on the Morning Devo with Bo-O, and so happy to be here with you. Here, let me get my lights straight. It seems like it's a little dark. There we go. Now it's a little brighter. It is December 6th, 2021. I actually wanted to say November again. I've been getting in the habit of every time I look at the date, I'm saying November. And man, we're past November. We can't go back. We can't live it again. I can't live yesterday again. All I got is right now. And it's wonderful to be with you this morning. Genesis chapter 27. We're going to be through this book in no time. So we'll be done Genesis. Oh, so sad, right? It's been such a fun book so far. Book of beginnings, right? Genesis. So if you missed any of the morning devos with Bo-O, you can always go to my YouTube channel, the archive right there that's scrolling, and you can check it out and get into another book of the Bible. So super fun. I really enjoy just going through the Bible in a pretty simple way, and I've always enjoyed that. It's always been such a real cool time just to get into there in the morning and kind of read through the Bible. So our devos are actually through the Bible devos, right? We're going just chapter by chapter. We haven't even skipped a chapter yet. We just have gone through it. So let's get into chapter 27. I'm going to be like this because I'm going to just warm up because it was a little chilly. I don't know where it is at, where your place is at, but ours, we don't have any heater on at night. We usually don't put nothing on. So by the time the morning rolls around, it's a nice crisp, 60 something degrees in the house. And for us desert rats, that's a little cold, right? Absolutely. Hey, it was a blessing to see everybody at church too. That was awesome. Super good time. So one day when Isaac was old and turning blind, he called for Esau, his oldest son, and said, "My son." So Isaac here goes through a trial, a physical trial of just old age and what old age does to us, right? The body starts falling apart and he's turning blind, so he can't see well at all. And he calls for Esau, his eldest. And so here we see what's going to happen, right? A blessing. And he said, "My son." He says, "Yes, my father," Esau replied. "I am an old man now," Isaac said, "and I don't know when I may die. Take your bow and a quiver full of arrows and go out into the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare my favorite dish and bring it here for me to eat. Then I will pronounce a blessing that belongs to you, my firstborn son, before I die." And so this idea of the firstborn is threaded throughout the Bible as well. So I kind of, as we go through the Bible, I kind of just share with you certain things that kind of you'll see throughout the entire 66 books that make up our Bible or book. And this is another theme that you can actually do a little study on yourself, is just look up this firstborn, and you'll see it all throughout the scriptures. But you might want to just try finding it in the New Testament and see its relevancy there, and especially how it relates to Jesus being the firstborn. And you might really find this fascinating. It's a really neat study. And obviously the study of the firstborn is one that is kind of always been a hot topic in Christianity for various reasons. But it would do you some good to look up that term firstborn and study it more. And if you have any questions on firstborn and what it means exactly, and or if you're kind of running into anything, you could always call my friends at A Reason for Hope at 5 o'clock, Monday through Friday. They're all there, and sometimes I'm on that show too to help people understand some of these questions. But anyway, it's a theme, this firstborn. But Rebekah overheard what Isaac had said to her son. Okay, moms, I'm talking to you today. The moms out there, pay attention. What does Rebekah do? She overhears what Isaac said to Esau. And so when Esau left for the hunt, for this wild game, Jacob was craving some of Esau's, venison, some of the deer meat or something. And so he goes and hunts it, and she says to her son Jacob, listen, I overheard your father say to Esau, bring me some wild game and prepare me a delicious meal. Then I will bless you in the Lord's presence before I die. Now, my son, listen to me. Do exactly as I tell you. Go out to the flocks and bring me 2 fine young goats, and I'll use them to prepare your father's favorite dish. So maybe it wasn't venison, it's goat, obviously. He dug goat. And it says, then take the food to your father so he can eat it and bless you before he dies. Oh, man. Mothers, right? Oh, what do you mothers think of this situation? I would love to get your thoughts on this one. Right? What's in Rebekah's heart at the moment? She's thinking, wait, time out. He's old. He can't bless Esau. Remember the prophecy? The prophecy when the babies were in my womb? It was that the younger is going to actually rule over the elder son. So what's he thinking, this old man? Gosh, what a nutcase. And is that what she's thinking? Have you ever thought that way before about a decision someone made? Kind of looked at him and went, oh no, or did she just think like, maybe Isaac is just doing what seems natural in the culture, which was to bless the eldest son, and because he's old, he might not remember the kind of what God told him at the beginning, so he's just kind of riding on the culture, doing what the culture says to do. That sounds kind of familiar with us too, right? We kind of go with the culture sometimes. Whatever the culture's doing, we kind of go and do the same thing, and maybe not do something that God's called us to do, because the culture is this way, and this is what we do in the culture, right? we grow older, we go to school, we go to college, we get a family, we we can go through the same thing and not remember maybe a specific way of that God's called us to go and to do and to serve him. So who knows exactly, but we know that Rebekah, when she heard this, she said, Jacob, go and grab some goats, and I'm going to prepare, and you need to listen to me. And maybe she knew Jacob was just a kind of a softie, and he wasn't going to do nothing. He wasn't going to say nothing about what, he wasn't even going to care so much about what is going on. So she has to kind of ring Jacob, together and say, Jacob, hey, go get, listen to me. Pay attention, since you're not paying attention, But you see mom just take control of the situation. And man, have you ever had that where something felt like it was getting out of control or out of your hands, or things were getting squirrely, and you felt like you really needed to take charge? And man, this is what's happening. So, but look, Jacob replied to Rebekah, my brother Esau is a hairy man, and my skin is smooth. What if my father touches me? He will see that I'm trying to trick him, and then he'll curse me instead of blessing me. But his mother replied, let the curse fall on me, my son. do what I tell you. Go out and get the goats for me. So Jacob tries to reel mom in, but sometimes you can't reel mom in. And this is just the fact. Is sometimes there's always people that are above you that you're never going to be able to reel in, right? You can't control. No matter how much you would love to, you can't do it. It's out of your control. They're going to do what they're going to do. And, that's why the serenity prayer is so important every day, right? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change today, right? Courage to change the things I can. Give me the courage to help me to move forward and the wisdom to know the difference. That's just the beginning of that prayer, by the way. So Jacob went out and got the goats for his mother. He got them for his mom, right? It wasn't something that was on his heart to do. It was something he felt he had to do because of his mom. Have you ever said that to someone? You made me do this. You made me. Oh man, you make me feel this way. Those kind of thoughts. Instead of our hearts being really dedicated to, it's our walk with God. It's our call. Jesus has called me. What is my decisions today? What am I doing today in my focus with God? Is my emotional life being driven by what the Bible says about my relationship with God and God's relationship with me through his son Jesus Christ? Or is my emotional stability today based off of what someone who I love, how they, what they said about me or what they think about me? What is really driving the emotional stability of my heart? And that's something I have to ask daily too. I have to think about daily. What is driving the heart and the soul of me today? And here it says he went out to get the goats for his mother. And those things stick out to me, for his mother. Have you ever enabled someone? Yeah. You probably have. I have. Where you enable someone. Jacob could have at this point went, nope, it ain't gonna happen, Mom. And Mom, ferocious Mom, go bananas, right? But he could have said, no, I'm not going down this path with you, Mom. But he does it. It's for his mom. And Rebecca took them and prepared a delicious meal. Just the way Isaac liked it. She knew what he liked. And then she took Esau's favorite clothes, which were in the house, and gave them to her younger son Jacob. She covered his arms and the smooth part of his neck with the skin of the young goats. Then she gave Jacob a delicious meal, including freshly baked bread. So Jacob took the food to his father. My father, he said. Yes, my son, Isaac answered. Who are you, Esau or Jacob? Jacob replied, It's Esau, your firstborn son. I've done as you told me. Here's wild game. Now sit up and eat so you can give me your blessing. Now here you see the manipulation, the lying, all going on, man. This is some good yuck happening. Oh, God, help me not to have all that yuck in there. Not to be manipulative today, right? Not to walk in lies today, but here you see it all in its glory, so to speak, right? Some people, have thought of the Bible as just a book of a bunch of holy people, like in the sense of holy, like as in, they don't have anything wrong. But chapters like this really show that human nature has really been the same all throughout history, not much different. And so, when we try to get our way, we will manipulate. When we try to get our way, we will lie. If things are all about us, we will go these directions, And that's why our hearts, gosh, help our hearts to be for the glory of God, the glory of God alone. And we'll definitely, hey, thanks for letting me turn down the music, man. I'm glad you like the music, but I didn't even hear it. So it was on in the background and I didn't even hear it. So I just turned it down. Thanks, Scott, for letting me know the music was on, even though I'm glad it was cool and you dug it. But yeah, isn't it so true how gosh, if our hearts are for the glory of God, then we'll be okay to be vulnerable, right? If my heart is for the glory of God, then I'll be able to say, hey, there's this, there's that I biff it in, because it's about God's glory. But when it's about me, when really it is about me, then I am going to manipulate. I am going to try to control, because I'm trying to hold this thing together, this illusion that I have it all together, that this illusion in my mind of what is really together anyway. But I have this idea of it, certainly in my brain, and that's where we get into all the yuck. And so really sad. And anyway, let's go on a little bit. And it says, let's see. So Jacob goes into this lie, and then he says, Isaac asked, how did you find it so quickly, my son? So Isaac gets a little tipped off that, man, that was quick. And then it says, the Lord your God put it in my path. And, oh man. And we lie even about our walk with God, right? The Lord your God put it in my path, Jacob replied. Then Isaac said to Jacob, come closer so I could touch you and make sure that you are really Esau. Now this had to be a scary, scary thing. So Jacob went closer to his father, and Isaac touched him. The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's, Isaac said. But he did not recognize Jacob, because Jacob's hands felt hairy, just like Esau's. So Isaac prepared to bless Jacob. But you are really my son Esau, he asked. Yes, I am, Jacob replied. Okay, so it just goes on and on. It continues in this yuck and in this lying and in this manipulation that continues to go on. Now, this happens in all of our lives, and, in a devotion, I always like to bring my heart before God and admit my own failures in these ways, because it's virtually impossible as a human being not to fall into this yuck. It's very easy for us to want to control, and that's what's so beautiful about someone who is, in a sense, as they've gotten older, and when I see someone losing control of their body in their elderly years, but they still hold fast to Christ, I find it so powerful of a witness of the power of God and the power of the Holy Spirit in their life, and the amazing power of their faith, because they can't control anything. They realize everything is out of control. Even their body is out of control. And yet they are holding fast to Christ. They know that everybody knows that they can't control anything. There's no more pretense. And oh, what a word. What are you trying to reflect? What are you trying to show people about you? What is the pretense that you walk in? What are you trying to hide? What are you trying to convey? What are you trying to control in your life? That is the pretense, right? What are you trying to show people? Oh, a person of pretense. It's how you're trying to portray yourself. It's not really you. If you scratch down into the surface, you're someone totally different, right? But you want people to think a certain thing about you or your family or things like that. And you're trying to hold it together, hold everything together. And man, if you ever lived in a house like that, that is a heavy burden to bear. When you live in a house that it doesn't, it's not perfect, but it's trying to portray that it's perfect. It has a pretense. It's trying to show something on the outside that's not really true on the inside. And what happens is we learn manipulation over the periods of years around our parents, and we learn how to control things, and we learn how to walk in these ways that are super sinful. The whole thing is just baked in sin. And it's a continual, habitual sin behavior that happens in us human beings like this. And so, when we look at a narrative like this, I always love in a Devo to just go, God, you see these parts of me. Search me, O Lord. You know the wicked ways that are within me. You know the wanting to control, wanting to manipulate and lie, to have some kind of idea of, some kind of feeling of control when Lord, I need to give you my life. I want my heart to be for your glory alone. So that way I'm not worried about what people think of me. I'm more concerned of how people view you. And now you start getting into the writings of King David or the Psalms, and we'll get there one day. And then you'll read King David's Psalms, and if you ever read King David's Psalms, you'll be like, man, dude, you know what's a trip about King David's Psalms? That guy was a wreck. But he always says, God, I'm concerned about you, your mercy. Help, I don't want my sin to reflect negatively on you. And man, that was the burden of his heart. And that, I tell you what, that's a burden that I carry. That's a burden of my heart. Lord, I don't want my sin to reflect wrong on you, because I know I sin. But I'm concerned about God's name, God's fame. And so we can see how we fall into these patterns, these family patterns overnight. And I mean, they just continue night after night. And now they are in Jacob's life. Rebecca's learned this from somewhere. It's in these people's lives, and it's in our lives too, having a pretense, showing things, trying to control things. And may God help us today to really be about the business of just glorifying His name. God, help me to glorify you, and help me not to walk in pretense anymore. It's no longer about the show. Lord, help me not make this about the show. It's not about my control or what I think people need to see right or all these things. No, it's about you. And man, anyway, cool start to the week, and a good focus on the glory of God. And we will roll through the rest of this chapter tomorrow, okay? So you guys take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.